Welcome back to part 2 of this tutorial. In this video, I will focus on the process for developing the original lesson and putting it into the LDC format. When I came up with this lesson, I was reading something about Stephen King. And he wrote about how he uses what he reads to help him when he's writing. And when he gets blocked, he says he will copy someone else's writing word for word to try to get to their flow and find his flow again. He said as he does this, he noticed that the words and sentence choices that they make and how they helped create images, and then he would try to emulate that in his own writings. The whole idea struck me pretty hard at the time, and so I tried to think of a way that I could replicate this for the classroom. And this really is where this idea of graphic language in the lesson began. Originally, this was done before I became involved with LDC, and rather than using the standards that we see here, I was using the standards from the state of Michigan. So there were some transitions that were going to be made going from one format to the other. But moving it to the LDC format seemed really straightforward to me because I already had my title, Graphic Language. I had the prompt pretty well figured out because I knew what I was asking my students to do, and then I had my scoring. I wanted the students to identify the graphic language and then use that in their personal narrative, and so I pretty much copied that from my old lesson into the new one. When it came to the standards, however, it took me some time because I was using the state standards, and that was different. And that brings me to one of the things I really like about the LDC website, because when it came to doing the standards, I merely clicked on the pencil and went to the part where it says Add Standards, and I could click through the 9th grade standards, 9 and 12, for reading and for writing, and simply click on them and put them in. I don't really want that one. And it made that change really easy for me to do. The other part that was a little tricky for me was developing the skill. I had an idea of what I wanted the skill to be, but I didn't really know how to put it into the LDC format. So I had a friend help me. Her name was Vicky, and we came up with identifying and using descriptive language, and instead of selecting a skill that came from LDC, we decided to go with the option where we could create our own and write our own standard in there, our own skill in there, which is a really nice option. The other part of this that was really straightforward was the instruction, because what I did was I had a step-by-step instruction when I originally wrote it. I remind students that it was Writer's Workshop, and I would map this out, but it was all on a piece of paper, and so all I pretty much did was copied it from one format to another format, and voila. And then I took the copies of my Word documents and the copies of my PowerPoints, and I moved them into the lower part, and I had my lesson done. Now this took me, I'm sure, maybe under an hour. And it was a nice piece because then I could move it in and it would go directly into the module. Sometimes I don't have them this well written out, but this one I did. What I want to do is thank you for taking the time to follow me through this creation. In the next videos, I'm going to lead you through the process where I move these lessons into a format that goes beyond my module. The goal of this originally was to put it into my module so that I would have it there and I could use it. Now I want to make it more universal so that other people can use it. And I decide to do some things like splitting it and focusing more on tasks and talking more about the skills that I want students to learn. And the next video, I plan on leading you through the decision process of how I broke this up into two pieces. Thank you for joining me with this, and I look forward to you watching part 3.